Nexus Corp's here, and we got Gabe with his Nova Grappler deck. It's Extreme Battler build, and go ahead, Gabe.
Alright, so I'm just going to be talking to you about my Victor GB2 build. It's the Nova G deck, so not like Beastie 80, Blau, all that. So let's get started with my grade zeros. So for the starter, we got Extreme Battler Runbhol, which is really nice. It's a GB1 when a card in the same column as this stand itself. So if you're familiar with Beast Deities, it's basically GB1 Beast Deity Riot Horn. So you attack, card effect, stand, it's going to come with it. Really works really well with the deck because you get a lot of attacks. So it's a really nice starter for the deck. Then I'm running a pretty standard 8 crit 4 draw. I'm running 4 Drone Barron, which is the draw from GBT01 just to make it more G. Running 4 Ring Girl Eye as the heal. Again, it's the G heal trigger, so there you go. 4 copies of Extreme Battler Zanbhara, because Extreme Battler, it's a critical. And then, no matter what you want to do with your trigger lineup, if you want to do Rainbow or whatever, you need to run 4 copies of Red Lightning. Red Lightning is move into the soul, unflip a card, which is really nice because this deck, it gets really counterblast heavy. So running it is actually a necessity for the deck. There have been so many times where I needed to use this card. I was playing earlier today, and I used 2 Red Lightnings in 1 turn, and I think I used 3 or 4 throughout the whole game because that's just how practical it is. Red Lightning is a must for almost all Nova Grappler decks. Now on to G1. I am running 4 copies of Lady Cyclone, who is the GPG, so she only blocks Vanguard, but if there's another one in the damage zone, in the drop zone, unflip it damage. I don't really like GPGs because, at least in America, you have a lot of meta with like Dodex or Laurel where they want to attack the rear guard, so I like to use regular PGs, but the deck is so counterblast heavy, you really need to run 4 copies of Lady Cyclone just for the additional unflip because it does come in handy. I am running 4 copies of Extreme Battler Arashid, which is the stride fodder for Victor, so on place, reveal a grade 3, add a copy of Victor to hand, discard, and grade +2 if you want to play the cost of stride. Pretty standard for a G deck. Running 4 copies of Claydol Mechanic, which is on place, unflip, which again, as I've said before, the deck is really counterblast heavy, so Claydol comes in really nice. And lastly, I am running 2 copies of Final Wrench, which acts pretty similar to Runbhol in that when a card in the same column as this unit stands, that card gains an additional 4k. So you got these as your column, you attack 14, restand this, ability +4, restand this one, ability +4. This is a nice column, but I don't really do this, but yeah. Because let's say you're playing Kagura, they retire your Runbhol, you can put this behind and gain basically the same effect because Runbhol adds an additional 5, that it adds an additional 4. So it's a really nice backup, and it works really well with Meteokaiser Victoplasma, which we'll get to a little later. On to grade 2, 3 copies of Extreme Battler Kenbeam, which is the 10k vanilla. I like it because it's a nice body to ride into, and most of the abilities that I use, I can get works effectively the same as if I was running the GB1 12k attacker, and I just like the 10k body, so I like to run Kenbeam because, at least in my community, we see a lot of like rush decks, so it's really nice to help counter those. I am next running 4 copies of Extreme Battler Sazanda, who I love. This card is fantastic. It's the bane of all of my friends' existences with this deck. It's when this card stands by card ability GB1, this card gets +5. And with the G deck, every card, or most of them at least, that stand a card with a card ability, give it a +5. So if you're targeting Sazanda with that +5 restand, Sazanda basically is gaining +10k. So like, use the Amber Clone or Victor's Stride bonus on Sazanda, give it 5 already, then its own ability gives it an additional 5. Put Runbhol behind that, 14, restand for 24, then if you can, restand for 34. It's honestly fantastic. Sazanda is a godsend. I'm so glad we got this card. On to the last grade 2, which is our Amber Clone, which is Cool Hank at 4, if only we got to keep it as White Hank, because that's just a way funnier name. It's GB1 when boosted, Counterblast 1, standard card with +5, like I said. So, you know, it's a great card, it's your Amber clone, it's fantastic. Your grade 2 field would look maybe something like this, where you got Sazanda boosted by Runbhol. Cool Hank can be boosted by virtually anything but Clay at all, assume, because you're going to unflip. So you go 14, 16, then GB1, turn that into a 24 right off the bat. There you go. Cool Hank, really valuable asset to this deck, and I'm so glad we got it because it really helps, and especially it helps in ramming up Sazanda's power. And even if you don't have Sazanda, it gives it a +5, it just makes an attack straight up stronger. Then to grade 3s, for Ace Extreme Battler Victor, GB2, when it attacks, it itself gets 5, and you can stand a card with 5k. So you got this, 9 poke rear, GB2 16, make it a 9, make Sazanda 19 from its own ability. Really nice card, it's helpful, strong. Victor, really nice. I really like Victor. And its stride bonus is when your G unit strides on top of Victor, your G unit gets the ability, when this card attacks, Counterblast 1, stand a rearguard with 5k. That ability can only be used once in the turn, which I'm a bit sad about, because it'd be nice to use Victor's ability twice in the turn, because Victoplasma is a restanding Vanguard, but I'll get into it when I get to the G units. And my backup grade 3, 4 copies of Extreme Leader Raybird, which is GB1, Vanguard only, unfortunately, on hit, Counterblast 1, standard card with +5, so pretty okay GB1, and its stride bonus, which it does have a stride bonus, is when your G unit strides on top of it, that card gets +5, which is really nice because it gives the Nova Grappler on hit an additional 5, making it harder to block, increasing your chances of using its ability, and it has a great on hit ability, which I'll get into soon. And again, Victoplasma is a restander. You make it a restanding 31k before triggers, so that's fun. So that's why I like to run this as the backup grade 3. So under the G units, I am running 2 copies of Meteokaiser Vic-ten, which is the on-hit that I was telling you about just a few seconds ago. It's when this card hits, stand a rearguard with 5k, which with this deck with cards like Sazanda can make really dumb numbers that force your opponent to drop a lot or force them to take a damage. So running Vic-ten at 2 is nice. I used to run it at 4 back before Fighters Collection 2015 came out, and then we got a new card which I've been talking to you who I love and works really great with the deck. So I'm running 2 copies of Meteokaiser Tribrut, which its effect is when your card stands from a card ability, Counterblast 1, give the card that stood an additional 2k, pick one of your opponent's rearguards with equal or less power, retire it. So let's say you got Victor, you stride into the Tribrut. You also got Sazanda on deck. You go 9 to rear, 26 to van, skill of Victor's stride bonus, stand it with 5, Sazanda's effect gives it another 5, so making it a 19. Tribrut's effect makes it a 21, so it hits that 11 number, forcing 15 by itself, and you can retire literally any rearguard in the game, because no rearguard will exceed, like, I don't know, 11, 12,000. And because of the wording card effect, it works with Runbhol. So let's say your opponent rushes you, you have like 3-4 damage by your first stride, 14 poke something, 26, use one of your 3 counterblasts for Victor, restand it, second counterblast for Tribrut to retire something, Runbhol's own effect activates, so give that to retire their starter. So you basically just retired 2 and made this column a bit stronger. I love going into Tribrut first because the way this game works now, some of your opponent's starters are going to have really good abilities. So being able to do away with them, or any card really, is really nice because Nova Grappler isn't a control deck, but having a pretty good control aspect makes the deck a whole lot stronger. So I love running Tribrut, and running it at 2 is really nice, and is also part of why I run all those unflippers you saw, because I kind of tend to go ham with Tribrut just to mess with my opponent. So really recommend running at least 1 Tribrut. And my last G unit that I'm going to be talking about is the only at 4 G unit, which is Meteokaiser Victoplasma. What it does is Counterblast 2, flip over a copy of itself in the G zone, it loses a drive check and gains the ability, after this unit attacks the Vanguard, discard 2, restand it. So it's a restander, so it's already one of the inherently better units in the game. Nova Grappler restanding is great because the deck has an issue against control decks, so if you're playing a control deck, this thing functions pretty much by itself, and it makes some pretty great combos. Like, what I like to do is put Final Wrench behind it, because I would attack 26, then restand it. Wrench's ability gives it 4, turning it from a 26 to a 30, making this 37, so increases the attack, hits numbers even higher, and it makes some pretty nice combos because it's a restander. So it's a restanding 26k, so it's forcing a lot of guard from your opponent, 2 PGs minimum. So if your opponent's at 5, they're losing 4 cards minimum just from Victoplasma. And because you will ideally have Victor's stride bonus with Sazanda boosted by Runbhol, 14, 26 skill, 5/5 restand, 24, 37. From just 2 columns, you destroyed your opponent's hand if they have any left, and you didn't win. So Victoplasma is a really nice card. And I'm going to talk to you about something with Victoplasma that I learned just a few days ago, which isn't the most viable combo, but it makes really fun plays. Like, it's not the smartest idea, but if you like to have fun and make pretty dumb stuff, this is what you can do. So this is a G Persona Blast, so it's going to require another face-up G unit to use its ability. But what you can do is, let's say you haven't strode yet, your opponent rushed you, you're at like 5 damage right in the early stages of the game. What you can do is pay first stride into Victoplasma. What you can do is Counterblast 2, G Persona Blast. But nothing happens since you only have 1 in the G zone. You get to keep your triple drive since you only have 1, and you need to have 2 to lose the drive check and to gain the ability. But yeah, nothing happened because you only have 1. But if you have the damage, you can pay the cost a second time, G Persona Blast, and now you have the 2 face up, and your first stride is your restanding Victoplasma. Granted, in this situation, you would probably want to go Brute just to nuke your opponent's field, but if you rushed back and you're both in the late stages of the damage zone, this makes for a really strong first stride, and I've won games because of this thing, and it's just a really funny play. And yeah, that's just why I like the deck, because there's so much you can do. It's a really fun deck. If you like restanding and stuff, like if you're an Aquaforce fan, you'll probably like this deck because it makes pretty similar plays and combos, but we did it first because Nova Grapplers are better. Hashtag Nova Grapple. But it's a fun deck. I hope if you're having struggles thinking of a deck list, this helped you. I hope if you were thinking of building Nova Grapplers, this inspired you. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and there's a link to the Facebook page if you want to check us out there. And keep it real.